Hello, 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 hello. How are you today, folks? Yours truly, John Beattie, with the Dinosaur News. 4th edition, 4th day, February 20th, Thursday. February 20th, 2014. First week at this daily video stuff. And for some reason, connections just aren't coming in nicely. I did the complete show an hour ago, and it didn't take in the processing situation with YouTube. So we're redoing it. I don't know how the American bloggers and the white patriot cause manage 5 days a week, 2-hour shows. The Don Black fellow, unbelievable. 20 minutes is enough for me. It's worth every minute of it. There just isn't anyone else out there. As my dear mommy said long ago, years ago, before she passed on, Johnny, why does it have to be you? I asked myself the same question. People call our views crazy. They call me crazy sometimes, quite often. Who knows? Depends who you bump into at the supermarket. Maybe I am crazy. Why am I doing this? Well, I'm doing it because I was steeped in British traditions. My grandfather flew a Union Jack from our little Scottish type Croft in Toronto, and my father was in the Royal Air Force, switched over to the Royal Canadian Air Force. I was steeped in our traditions, our history, our ancestry. I just feel I have to do it. And yes, the fact that no one else is doing it here in Canada pricks at my conscience, of course. As Don Black on the Rents Radio Network says so well, he gave up a career and everything for the white patriot cause. I managed to get in 20 years, and that got me a house. But even during the 20 years, I stood up on a couple of occasions. If you go onto the homepage, BritishPeoplesLeague.com, click in personal Facebook of John Beattie, you'll see what I'm getting at. But somehow I managed to keep my job. There are many of you out there would love to be doing, I believe you would do it. You've got the guts and so on to do a daily video, dinosaur newscast. But, you know, your job, you've got to eat. You're willing, but the irony is the hypocrisy. Whether it's Britain, America, or Canada, or Australia, the hypocrisy of our fellow whites. They all tell racist jokes after a couple of beer. They're with us, but they want us to take the blows. They want us to do the dirty work. They want us to do the suffering. And when everything looks rosy, then they'll, oh, I was with you all the way, John. Remember that time I said Heidi on the street? Well, that's fine. I'm not doing it for the people that aren't worthy. I'm doing it in memory of our ancestors. Doing what, you might say? What's 20 minutes a day, Beattie? What's the problem? It's nerve-wracking. I don't have a technician sitting here with me. I got to keep my eye on the timer here and make sure nothing goes wrong and have to do it again. You didn't tune in to hear Beattie crying. I appreciate it, okay? Thanks for listening. Can't cry to my family. Out of 5 kids, there's only one that I can communicate with. The rest all head for the hills when that last publicity came out in 2011. I call it's sickening, and it's happened with so many families connected with the white patriot cause. Well, as I said yesterday on previous broadcasts, you out there listening, tuned in, you're our family now on the blind list. You know who you are on the British People's League blind list. You're worthy people spread about our British people around the globe. Well, as those of you on the blind list know for sure, it was a great discussion held with Don Black's radio show on the Rents Network, RENSE. You can hear the show on the host archives. Just go to Rents Network, and you'll see Host Archives. Click in there, then you see Don Black. So if you go into February the 18th, yours truly was a guest on the second hour at 10 a.m. Co-host Don Advo, who is turning out to be a real good friend, a British American, and proud of it. And speaking of Don Advo, he gave a terrific speech. It wasn't just a talk on the Don Black Show this morning, and he was on hour 2. So there's another show to archive. Check it out on today's shows. It'll be archived already. The Don Black Rents Network are very quick at putting up the archives. And hour 2, Don Advo. And if you want to really pin it down, it's the 10:45 mark, the last 15 minutes of the show. He just gave a terrific oration as to what's going to happen when the cities crumble. And I'm the one to, let's not talk doom and gloom. Well, he gave an optimistic scenario for those that are not living in the cities when the economy collapses in the States and the distribution points are cut off. Well, our cities will collapse as well. I mean, look what we've got running the cities. You know, you got a crackhead mayor in Toronto. We've got a third worlder in Calgary. When the collapse hits, it's only going to be the white patriots who stick together that are going to come out of it all. Can't predict when it's going to happen. It's pretty obvious. Things are crumbling. Implosion. It's just around the corner. I know. I've heard it for 40, 50 years. It's going to happen. But this time, it's already happening. And, you know, the knockout games by the multiculturals beating up white people at every street corner. It's pathetic. The headlines of the slaughters of white people in American homes, home invasions. That's not the headlines, is it? Very suspicious, isn't it? Why isn't that a headline? Zimmerman's case was a headline. Anyway, we preach to the choir here. This is not an educational show. The Dinosaur News is meant to be a roundup of positive affairs with white patriot groups around the globe who are talking the same language as the British People's League. Maybe not specifically identified to our British peoples. You know, Don Black is for the American white patriot cause, etc. in the States. We've got Candor, a rock of Gibraltar right in the motherland. Candor, C-A-N-D-O-U-R, candor.org.uk. And I always promote them because they've got their finger on the pulse of the various groups in Britain. Well, I'm talking about the groups in Britain. The National Front in Britain, another internal squabble over ownership of the name, etc. But to be honest with you, the Rock of Gibraltar within the National Front to me is Richard Edmonds. He was with John Tyndall in the 70s, a good friend of John Tyndall's, and suffered with John Tyndall being the greatest of patriots, of course, in the motherland. So if you want to see what the scoop is with the National Front, I'd suggest Google Richard Edmonds, E-D-M-O-N-D-S. I'm grinning now because the way I find the enemy helps in so many ways. I want to find something in a hurry. I just told someone of our cause up on Google, I'll put, say, Joe Blow, racist. As soon as you say those words, oh, you get everything. You get what you need. You get the positive, the negative, the works. Thank you, dear enemy. Just like when I run for Deputy Reeve, when I officially file the nomination papers in May. I'd like to file them right now, but it's $100 filing papers, and I cannot appeal for that $100 in advance. It's against the rules. I have to come up with that personally. And those of you who listen know that I quit my job in December to be full-time for the cause. But I'll have it by May, and once we file, I'm counting on you few enemy trolls out there listening in. Smear the hell out of me, because the more smears, the better the vote. There was a guy in Louisiana ran for the state legislature. The more smears, he got in. A guy named Nick Griffin in Britain, the more smears, he got in. The worse the smears, the more votes he got. You know, white people aren't stupid. There might be a lot of white cowards, but even the cowards aren't stupid. When they smell a rat, you see it everywhere. But I leave the educational blogs to others. But here at the Dinosaur News, the news for today is Don Advo's oration this morning. on the Black Show. It was just a very powerful oration as to what is going to happen in America, at least. And he's a proud British American. He calls himself a British American. So we're right in tune with our logo, British People's League, working for our heritage. You on the blind list, I know you enjoy receiving the YouTubes. And I get some great emails. And I mention you people because you're number one on my hit parade list. People that aren't in touch yet, will get in touch. And we do re-forward good editorials written by people on our blind list. Very good writers. But I don't put them all on the home page. We have to give special dessert treats for those who are on the blind list. How do you get on the blind list? Well, first you've got to get in touch with us. We'll communicate with you by email. A couple of months. See if you're still interested. See how it goes. And then you get on the blind list. Email is britishcanada@gmail.com. britishcanada@gmail.com. So get in touch, and we'll answer your emails as soon as possible. Okay, let's see. What's a positive note? March the 15th, white patriot groups around the globe are going to all come forward in some way. There's going to be banners dropped off the overpasses. I don't mean dropped on the windshield of your car, but hung over overpasses with slogans that are pro-white patriotic. I believe there's going to be some street matters, etc. I wish some of the blinders could come forward anonymously. So March 15th, around then, we could do our plaza plan, our van plan with the plazas. And I think it's a good plan. Not quite out in the street, but you're in the wide open in an eatery, you know, these huge, massive cafeteria within the malls. And of course, we would hit where we get the most visits and hits from. And again, this morning, checking the visits, it was from Peterborough, Ontario, and Oshawa, Ontario. Yes, some from Britain, some from the States, some from Western Canada, a couple from Australia. But again, Peterborough and Oshawa. They're of British stock, and yet there's a lot of, you know, there's Ukrainian Canadians in Oshawa, General Motors there. But they're friends, they're great cousins. I am just thrilled at the interest from those two cities because they're ripe for the picking. They're ripe for a plaza visit, not a demonstration. We go in as a group with our T-shirts with the .com clear, bright lettering. We trot in, we have a hamburger, fries, coffee, whatever. Stay for an hour, yak away, and I have a feeling there's going to be the odd sympathizer walk over. After hearing these broadcasts, they're going to keep their ears tuned in. And when we finally do have this set up, we'll let you know by these broadcasts what Saturday afternoon we're going to hit Peterborough, what Saturday afternoon we're going to hit Oshawa. We do have to be a little pinch careful now, boys and girls. We had a big rally planned on private land back in summer. Plan was the summer of 2011 to remember Sir John Alexander Macdonald's fine work on July the 1st. And the news media played it up, a monster rally on 200 acres. Whoa! So, you know, at that point we had the darts team with us. And even prior to that newspaper smear, the darts people came along wearing the British People's League T-shirts. And we toured the Haliburton County Fair very successfully in Minden, Ontario. And we toured the Highland Games in Haliburton Village. And it was going really well. And then that smear, and everybody's backed off for a while. You know, oh, John, you're too hot to handle. Well, if I'm too hot to handle, who are you going to get? You're not going to get a softie to do the job I'm doing. It's got to be someone that's been through the mill. Same with such as Don Black in the States, because we're not afraid of anything. And now I own the house I'm talking from, so I can't be bounced by a nervous landlord. I resigned from my job at the end of December, so I can't be fired. I'm paying the mortgage with my Canada pension. That's it. Keep me out of the beer parlors anyway. I enjoyed beer over my life. Not to an extreme extent, but there's nothing like a beer parlor if everybody's with you. Everybody's with you. Old Tex Ritter, I think he had the right tune years ago, decades ago. The beer parlors, he called them the Fool's Paradise. But in any case, that's a review as to the planning for Peterborough and Oshawa. Those are the targets, because I'm just overwhelmed at the steady viewership every morning when I check Google Analytics. And obviously, British People's League intrigues them. We're getting emails, very good emails. If you're curious how we're going to survive and provide for the British People's League, well, that was on the first donation appeal yesterday, February 19th. So you can click in the archive of that show. All the shows are one after the other, listed on the homepage with this gray-haired boy in each one. Let's see, what else can we cover on the Great Dinosaur News Show today? Well, I do know that when we came close to 20 minutes, we were a few seconds over 20 minutes my first run today. And it did not take hold on the YouTube equipment. Something to do with bandwidth. And we just can't seem to go over 20 minutes, which is fine. I don't think I could add much more after 20 minutes to keep you interested. And that works out just fine. So, if you have anything you feel should be on the Dinosaur News, let us know. And I'm talking positive notes about positive white patriotism, positive white patriot groups, positive white patriot people, positive white patriot leaders. I'm not talking the daily news about the horrors against our peoples. We know that. My job, the job of the British People's League, is to bringing in the sheaves. And I don't want chances running out. So keep me fed with good stuff, okay, on the blind list. There's your challenge. This is the 4th edition of the Dinosaur News. Our first week started the 17th of February. We're now, of course, at the 20th of February. One more day to go. And then 5 days a week continuous. I'm enjoying it. I hope you're enjoying listening in. And I especially hope that this show we've just done takes on the YouTube, so poor old Johnny Boy doesn't have to do a third run at it. Okay, but the show must go on. Thank you for tuning in, and you've lasted this long with us. I assume you've enjoyed it. You know what we're all about. Pass us on to your friends. Thanks for tuning in today. Talk at you tomorrow, folks.